परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यैरिमे गुरुभिः पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याताः सर्ववेदान्तास्तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Today is Guru Purnima. The Purnima. Purnima means full moon day. The full moon day of the month of Ashadha is observed as Guru Purnima. It is a very important day in our calendar, especially so for a spiritual seeker, for a student of Vedanta. On this day, we pay our reverence to the Guru as well as to the Guru Parampara. In our tradition, a great emphasis is laid on the importance of a Guru. In my morning talk in the temple, I compared the role of a Guru to that of father and mother. Most often you find a Guru considered at par with the father and mother. Even if you look at the Upanishads, Matradevo Bhava, Devo Bhava, and Acharya Devo Bhava. Guru is important in one's spiritual life. Therefore, the Guru is mentioned along with the mother, father. If you look at Prashnopanishad, there is an Upanishad called Prashnopanishad. In that Upanishad, there is a story. There were 6 students, and the 6 students approach a Guru, and the name of the Guru was Pippalada. The 6 students approached Pippalada with their questions. They were seekers. And when they approached the Guru, Pippalada, and they said, "We have some questions to ask." Then Pippalada does not answer their questions immediately. He does not even ask, "What questions do you have?" They said, "We have questions." And Pippalada does not even ask, "What question do you have?" Instead, he says, "Before asking the questions, stay in my ashrama for 1 year as brahmacharis. Do seva, lead a life of austerity for 1 year, and then you are free to ask questions." And Pippalada adds, "Even when you ask question after 1 year, do not expect me to answer all of them. If I am able to answer, I will answer. There is no guarantee." That is what Pippalada said. Then the 6 students accepted this instruction and they stayed in Pippalada's ashrama for 1 year. They served him in the Gurukula, in the ashrama. In fact, the Upanishads as well as Bhagavad Gita clearly instruct a student, "Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya." One should get this knowledge only through pranipata. Pranipata means dirgha namaskaraha, sashtanga namaskara. A total prostration. Padbhyam karabhyam urubhyam urasa shirasa bhuvi patanam dirghataruvat pranamoshtanga uchyate. The 8 parts of the body should touch the ground. Padbhyam, two hands, karabhyam, padbhyam means 2 feet, karabhyam 2 hands, urubhyam 2 thighs, urasa chest, and shirasa head. All these 8 limbs touch the ground. When someone prostrates in such a manner, it is called dandavat, falling flat on the earth like a danda, like a stick. Dandavat pranam. And that is the way one salutes one's Guru. It is a gesture. It is a gesture of absolute surrender, absolute commitment, absolute acceptance. and absolute reverence. So, tadvidhi pranipatena. Do namaskara to the Guru. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. Most often nowadays, people doubt the need of a physical gesture. Why we should have such a physical gesture? People ask nowadays. Gesture and attitude are very closely related to each other. Gesture is an indication of an attitude. Therefore, if I have to convey my attitude to someone, I show it through a gesture. Moreover, the gesture enhances the attitude. A gesture will enhance the attitude. It is true, one can understand it with one's experience. That is why Krishna has prescribed pranipata as a discipline in the pursuit of self-knowledge. Pariprashnena, asking questions, requesting for clarification, requesting for explanation with the humility and sevaya, with the seva, service to the Guru. It is an injunction in the Shastra, Shastra Vidhi. Therefore, these 6 students did all those things. They did the pranipata, they did the seva, and after 1 year, they started asking question one by one. And if you look at their questions were different. Each question was indicating a particular level of spiritual advancement. The Shastras take note of the differences among the students. The seekers are different. Everyone is not same. All the seekers are not same. They are not uniform. They have different tastes, different inclinations, and different level of maturity, spiritual maturity. Therefore, each student asked a different question in accordance with his or her spiritual maturity. And Pippalada answered all of them. In 6 sections of Prashnopanishad, each section begins with a question by one of the students. So totally there are 6 questions. And Pippalada answered all of them, cleared all their doubts, and finally all the 6 disciples, they worshipped Pippalada and they thank Pippalada. They expressed their gratitude to Pippalada, and then they said, Tvam hi naf pita, you are our father, because you have made us see our own true self. And Shankaracharya explains, the ordinary father, the biological father, gives birth to this body, which is temporary, which is time bound. But the Guru makes us know our true identity, our true Swarupa, and thereby as though gives birth to our true nature, that is eternal, gives us moksha, that is eternal. Therefore, the Guru is like a father in a greater sense. That is how the Upanishads glorify the Guru. Because the role of a Guru is indispensable in the spiritual pursuit. Tadvijnanartham sa gurumeva bhigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. Mundakopanishad. Tadvijnanartham, to get the knowledge of Brahman, saha gurumeva bhigachet, one should approach a Guru. Samitpanihi, and while approaching a Guru, one should carry samit in hand. Samit means the firewood for sacrifice, for Vedic ritual. That was the custom in olden days. When Vedic rituals were prevalent, and the commentators say Samitpanihi stands for offering to the Guru as a token of respect. Riktapanirna seveta Rajanam Daivatam Gurum. It is said somewhere. When someone approaches a king or any devata, when you visit a temple, as well as when you visit a guru, you carry something as an offering. It was a custom in olden days, and it is followed even today. Therefore, Samitpanihi, Shotriyam Brahmanishtham. Approach a guru who is a Shotriya and Brahmanishtha. There are two words describing the qualification of a guru. The first word is Shrotriya. Another word is Brahmanishtha. To be a guru, one should be a Shrotriya and Brahmanishtha. Only then he can teach, and his teaching can work. Kathopanishad says, Na narena varena prokta eshaha suvijñeyo bahudha chintyamanaha. It is not everybody's cup of tea to teach Brahma Vidya. One should have certain qualifications. And this qualification is not given by any university. A university degree does not make you qualified to be a guru of Brahma Vidya. The qualification is different. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. Let's understand Shrotriya. Who is a Shrotriya? Shrotriya means a sampradayavit. One who knows the sampradaya is a Shrotriya. Here somebody might think that the Swami is getting into a problem by talking about sampradaya, because nowadays we have a different understanding of sampradaya. The word sampradaya is understood as a sect or a cult. Etc. But it is not the meaning of sampradaya. When we use it in Vedanta. Samyak prakarshena diyate iti sampradayaha. Samyak prakarshena diyate anena iti sampradaya. Sampradaya is a proper way of handing over the knowledge. Transfer of knowledge. We transfer so many things, transferring money, transferring electricity, transferring data. We transfer so many things. Then there is something called transfer of knowledge. When I say knowledge, I am referring to Brahmajnana, not any other knowledge. The Brahmajnana is transferred from Guru to Shishya. That is how a Shishya can get Brahmajnana. It has to be transferred by a Guru. If a Guru does not transfer the Jnana, the Shishya cannot get the Jnana. Because Guru is the only means. Now, how to transfer the Jnana? The Guru can transfer the Jnana only by means of teaching. Teaching is the way of transferring the knowledge. That is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The jnanis, who is a tattvadarshi, who knows the truth, who is aware of the absolute truth, he transfers the knowledge by means of upadesha, teaching. When the Guru teaches, he transfers the knowledge. And if the transfer has to take place effectively, he should have a methodology of teaching that ensures a proper transfer. When any knowledge is transferred through words, there are two possibilities, two problems. The first problem is distortion. When somebody tells something, and it is in turn conveyed by another person to someone by means of words, there is always a possibility of distortion of information. So distortion is one problem. That is the reason for all rumors. Why so many rumors are there? Most often, rumors are because of distorted communication. As it passes from mouth to mouth, the information gets distorted. Likewise, there is another problem. It is loss in transfer. With the transfer, certain things are lost while transferring. Even the electricity in transmission, there is a loss, transmission loss. Similarly, when we transfer an information, certain things might get lost. And the same thing happens with there is something called Chinese whisper. A few people stand in a circle and the first person whispers something to his neighbor's ear and he is expected to transfer it to the next person, and it goes in a circle, and finally the same whisper returns to the same person who first whispered, and when he hears it again, both these things might have happened. Loss of distortion as well as transfer loss. Therefore, when we communicate Brahma Vidya, we should ensure that these two things don't happen. And it is ensured by the traditional method of teaching, the traditional way of communicating the truth that has come down through generations. And it is called Sampradaya. The traditional way of teaching is called Sampradaya. Samyak prakarshena diyate anena iti sampradaya. Samyak means properly, implying without distortion, and prakarshena implying without loss in transfer. Diyate anena, the knowledge is handed over by the traditional methodology, and it is called Sampradaya. A guru has to be a Sampradayavit. He should know how to communicate the knowledge. The traditional way of teaching takes care of this. And if the guru has to know the traditional way of communicating, he should have been a student himself. He should have been a Shishya himself before. Without being a Shishya, one cannot be a guru. Without being a proper Shishya, one cannot be a proper Guru. Nowadays, people want to be Gurus, but it is not possible without being Shishya. And being a Shishya is not so easy. Being a Guru is perhaps easier. So, therefore, he is a Sampradayavit, Shrotriya. Shrotriya is a Sampradayavit. He knows the Shastra and he knows the traditional way of communicating the Shastra, communicating the vision of the Shastra. Such a person is called Shrotriya. Shankaracharya, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, makes a statement, Asampradayavit sarvashastravidapi murkhavadupekshaniyaha. If someone is an asampradayavit, he does not know the sampradaya, he does not know the traditional way of understanding the Shastra, and does not know the traditional way of communicating the Shastra, then he should be avoided, even if he is a Sarvashastravit. He might be a very intelligent person, very knowledgeable person in other respects. But if he does not know the Sampradaya, one cannot accept him as a Guru, because he can be misleading instead of giving the right direction. Therefore, a Guru has to be a Shrotriya. Meanwhile, he has to be a Brahmanishtaha. Brahmani nishtha yasya saha Brahmanishtaha. A Guru has to be a Brahmanistha. It is put very beautifully in Kathopanishad in a statement, Ananya prokte gatiratra nasti. In any other discipline of knowledge, the teacher need not be same as the taught. The subject matter of the teaching and the teacher are different in other fields of knowledge. For example, a physics teacher who teaches about atoms, he cannot be atom. Atom is different and the teacher of the atom is different. Botany is different and the teacher of botany is different. In botany, we study plants. To be a teacher of plants, you don't have to be a plant. Therefore, the teacher and the taught are different in other fields of knowledge. But it is not so with the Brahma Vidya. If a guru is teaching Brahma Vidya, he has to be Brahman. If he is anything other than Brahman and teaching Brahman, then it will not work. When I am teaching Brahman, I should have understood properly that I am the Brahman. Being Brahman myself, I can teach you, you are Brahman. Therefore, a guru should have assimilated the knowledge of Brahman to such an extent that he identifies himself as the Brahman himself. Then he is Ananyaha. Ananyaha means non-different from Brahman, non-different from the subject matter of teaching. And then he says, you are Brahman. That is when the knowledge takes place effectively in the mind of the student. Therefore, the guru is Brahmanishtaha. He abides in his true identity as Brahman. Most often people abide in the body, Dehanishtha, identifying as limited individual. Whereas a jnani is a Brahmanishtaha. He abides in his true identity, abides as Brahman, giving up his limited identity. Then his teaching is effective. A qualified student can receive the knowledge effectively from such a teacher, such a guru. Therefore, a guru has to be Shrotriya and Brahmanistha. That is the qualification of a guru. Likewise, there are qualifications of a Shishya also. Even a student, what should be the qualification of a student? The communication happens effectively only when the guru as well as the Shishya are qualified. A lot has been stated regarding the qualification of a Shishya. One such statement that is found in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. chapter 4. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyaha. Shraddhavan. The student has to be a Shraddhavan. He should have Shraddha. Shraddha is a trust, faith. The word faith is used in a different sense most often. Most often, in the faith, questioning is not allowed. But our idea of Shraddha is different. It is trust. I prefer to use the word trust than faith. What is trust? When you are walking on the street, you find a drunkard, and the drunkard tells you something. He is blabbering something. He is calling you, hey, come here, and he is blabbering something. Do you pay attention to his words? You do not pay attention to his words, because you know that he is a drunkard and he is blabbering. And what he is going to say will not make much sense. You know very well. That means you don't have trust in him. You don't have Shraddha in his words. Whereas, now when the Swami is saying something, he has been incessantly talking for 40-50 minutes now. All of you are attentively listening to him. Why? Because you know that this Swami is not a drunkard. He is speaking based on the Shastra. Therefore, his words must have some meaning. What he says must be true, and it will be useful also. This understanding is called Shraddha. This attitude is called Shraddha. When you have Shraddha, you pay attention to somebody's words and you try to understand what he says with earnestness. So, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. The more Shraddha one has, the more he will pay attention. The more he will try to make sense of what the Guru says. And sometimes what the Guru says may not seem to be making sense. Even when the Guru's words don't seem to be making the sense at the first sight, a Shraddhavan, a student with Shraddha, does not ignore the Guru's words. Instead, he says, I may not have understood it properly. It is not that the Guru is speaking nonsense. I may not have understood it properly. Therefore, let me try to understand it better. Let me improve my own understanding. This is Shraddha. Trust in the words of the Guru. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha. Tatparaha is commitment. A committed student is called tatparaha. Most often we find casual students of Vedanta. In fact, they cannot be called students. They are just audience. They just listen casually. And nowadays they have so many platforms, internet, YouTube, and so many things are available. So many channels are available. They listen here and there casually without any commitment. Such a listening will give some information, and to some extent it might give some solace also. It will comfort a person. I am listening to Vedanta and I am Brahman. To some extent it might give some comfort. But such listening will not give the true jnana. It will be just at the level of some information. So many of them are habitual listeners of Vedanta, of so many spiritual discourses. And if you approach them, they know every Acharya teaching Vedanta. And they will tell you the biodata of each and every Vedanta Acharya. And he speaks like this, she speaks like this. So it is a casual listening. Whereas a tatparaha, a student with the commitment, will pursue, will continue listening to one Acharya consistently and try to understand what he is trying to convey. It is commitment. Then Sanyatendriyaha, Indriya Sanyama, Indriya Nigraha, mastery over the senses is another important qualification. Vedanta will not work if someone does not have mastery over the senses. If one does not have self-discipline. Therefore, a student of Vedanta, a student of Brahmajnana should cultivate self-discipline. Discipline himself, his senses, his mind, So these are certain important qualifications mentioned in Shastra. On this occasion of Guru Purnima, may all of us receive the blessing of the Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara means the unbroken lineage of Gurus, which started right from Ishvara, right from Paramatma. The first Guru is Ishvara himself, and he taught the vision of Vedanta to the first human beings in the creation, the rishis, and then it was passed on from generation to generation. And thus we have an unbroken lineage of Gurus known as Guru Parampara. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. Sadashiva, Ishvara, Bhagavan, that is where the Guru Parampara started. Shankaracharya Madhyamam. In between there are so many Gurus, so many links, and we don't know them. We cannot name all of them, and we don't know their names also, because they never cared for recognition. They never cared for popularity. That is why they did not even leave their mark. Even when they wrote certain things, they have not written their names. That is why we don't know many Gurus in the lineage. But we know one great link, shining link, that is Shankaracharya. Therefore, Shankaracharya Madhyamam. In between there is one Shankaracharya. And then after that there have been many Gurus after Shankaracharya also. Even many of them are unknown. A few of them are known, like Vidyaranya, like Madhusudana Saraswati. A few are known. And up to our Guru, Asmadacharya Paryantam, the tradition continued unbroken up to our Guru. It is Guru Parampara. And let us salute. On this occasion, let's salute to the Guru Parampara. Let's offer our reverence to the Guru Parampara and seek the blessing of the Guru Parampara. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate.